Hey my fellow horror fanatics, and welcome to another Christmas horror review. Today I'm going to be covering a psychological atmospheric horror thriller called P2. I was planning to review P2 during this year's October Horror Fest and the script was finished. But as you know, I had to cancel October Horror Fest unfortunately, but that was not the worst of it. When my operating system messed up last month, I lost every script I was working on, including this one, so I had to rewrite it. Anyway, enough about the horror story of creating this review, let's take a look at the film. P2 takes place in New York City, but in truth was actually shot in Toronto, and what's ironic is I was in Toronto at the end of August, but I had no time to look for the shooting location, but whenever I find myself in Toronto again in the future, I will hunt down the shooting location. Okay, we are introduced to the main character for this story, Angela Bridges, who is played by the very talented Rachel Nichols. Okay, it is Christmas Eve, and a Christmas party is going on in an office, and everyone is there except for Angela, who is hard at work. Okay, thanks to a screw-up in a business deal, Angela is forced to stay at the office very late, and the rest of her co-workers have gone home. Now, you're thinking, is something already going to happen in the deserted office? Well, you would be half right and half wrong. Angela gets startled by her security guard friend Carl, who was locking up the floors, and after she locks up her office, she rides down with him, and they discuss the holidays. Once on the main floor, Angela separates from the group and heads to another elevator that will take her down to the parking levels. Okay, two important things to know. One, the parking level where Angela's car is located is far enough underground where cell phone reception is horrible at best, and the parking garage is just plain creepy. And yes, this is a real parking garage. It's not a set. Okay, Angela attempts to start her car, but surprise, surprise, it won't start. Something sinister is at foot. Angela gathers up her holiday essentials and tries to leave the parking garage, and surprise, surprise, the parking garage door is locked. This is not looking good. Angela goes to the parking lot security guard's office, and after getting startled by his guard dog, Angela meets a security guard who at first seems harmless enough and tries to help start her car, but is surprisingly unsuccessful. And then he tries to convince her to spend Christmas Eve with him, and it is pretty creepy, but can you blame the guy? She is pretty hot. Anyway, Angela politely turns him down, and he opens the door for her, and she goes back up to the lobby, but there's a problem. Her head security guard friend Carl is not at his desk, and I can tell you that is mandatory in any building for at least one guard to be at the security desk at all times. So something is definitely wrong. Angela calls for a cab, but since it's Christmas Eve, naturally cab service is going to be pretty slow, and she ends up falling asleep for a while, and finally her cab shows up, but then she tries to leave. The door won't open, and even when she pushes the door release buzzer on the security desk, the door still won't open, and that's very suspicious. Anyway, Angela, instead of simply looking for another exit on the main floor, which is what I would have done, she instead goes back down to the creepy-ass garage, and suddenly the lights go out. Uh-oh. This is going to be bad. Angela wanders around in the pitch black and uses her cell phone light as a guide, but suddenly we see behind her the security guard who suddenly attacks her and puts a cloth of chloroform over her mouth, knocking her out cold. Okay, that was an intense moment, creating a very good jump scare. Okay, poor Angela wakes up in the cyclist's office and her legs are chained and she realizes she's wearing her dress. And a little trivia for you guys. 14 dresses were made for the film, each one was in a separate state of decay. The crazy security guard Thomas actually tries to have dinner with her, but first he makes her call her family and lie to them so they won't come looking for her. And I admit, this guy is indeed a smart psycho. Okay, he gives her a present, which is a surveillance tape of her boss trying to make a move on her. And you'll find out why this is important shortly. Okay, Thomas the psycho unchains Angela, but Angela stabs him with a fork. A smart girl. And tries to escape, but fails. Those damn high heels. Thomas takes Angela for a ride to a lower level of the parking garage where it is revealed he has Angela's boss tied up to a chair, and after he beats the crap out of him, he gets back in the car and smashes the poor SOB into a wall with his car several times, killing him but not on the first try. And he did this because the guy touched his woman. Yep, this guy is definitely the jealous, crazy psycho. Killing a guy for touching a woman who wants nothing to do with him. When the psycho is distracted, Angela uses the opportunity to escape and make her way back to the crazy head's lair where she has a close call with the psycho's mutt. And 2 pieces of trivia for you guys. 3 different dogs were used to play the guard dog in the film, and Rachel Nichols, the actress who plays Angela, is afraid of large dogs, so it must have been a challenge for her to work with the dogs during this film. Okay, Angela tries unsuccessfully to call for help, but has no luck. And she tries screaming bloody murder, but just her luck, the only person who hears her is a crazy woman. Anyway, after a close call, Angela locks herself in the elevator, but the clever psycho rigged it to stay on the parking levels. Realizing she will never leave the elevator, the smart psychopath uses a fire hose to flood the elevator, and out of nowhere, the roof collapses and Angela's security guard friend Carl comes crashing down along with the roof, and Angela has no choice but to open the elevator, which causes her to basically be flushed out of the elevator. I have to say, this was an intense scene, and I'm pretty sure no stunt actress was used, so I have to give props to Rachel Nichols for the stunt work. Okay, after Angela realizes Carl is dead, she runs off, and after another close call with the psycho security guard, she gets pissed and goes on the offensive. While he's in his office dancing like a psychopath god, she grabs a fire axe and starts smashing security cameras, slowly coming towards him, wanting payback. Angela gets to the sick ass's office, but surprise, surprise, he's not there. Anyway, Angela sees a video of the sick pervert putting his hands all over her when she was unconscious, and her inner rage boils, and she starts smashing TVs and monitors. But then she gets distracted by something. Could it be? Yes, it's the cops. Could they actually be showing up in time for once to save the day? Before Angela can tell them what's going on, Psycho Thomas shows up and tasers poor Angela and locks her in a trunk of a car. Anyway, while Angela is stuck in the trunk of a car, the cops search the parking garage and they seem to do a thorough job, but somehow miss 2 dead bodies, along with several smashed cameras. Just as the cops are leaving, Angela breaks out of the trunk, but doesn't reach the cops in time and is sealed back in. I will point out, given how loud Angela was screaming, that those dummies should have heard the screams. Angela runs off and Psycho Thomas sends his guard dog after poor Angela. Angela ends up in a fight with the dog where he bites her in the leg and she stabs a tire iron in the dog's head. Okay, Angela, now injured, breaks into a closed car rental service and tries to call 911, but atypically gets put on hold, and while that's going on, Psycho Thomas finds his dead dog and gets pissed. Well, that's what you get, jerk, for sending your dog after the woman you claim to love. Anyway, Angela is forced to hide before she can get the cops on the phone, and the psycho ends the call. And just as it looks like he has her cornered, she tricks him and sprays his eyes with something very painful and smashes him in the face. Nice going, girl. Angela locks Mr. Psycho in, then uses keys she got from the dealership to steal a car, and just as Mr. Psycho is escaping, she drives off. Just as it looks like Angela is about to escape, the atypical final twist happens, and her car gets hidden aside by the good old Psycho. Angela drives off and runs into the ass again on a lower level, and this has got to be my favorite part of the movie. Angela and Psycho Thomas play some good old-fashioned chicken, and Angela uses every bit of courage she has along with the anger and rage she's built up because of that psychopath, and is able to win. And this has got to be the most action-packed, best part of the film. Angela ends up crashing her car and the psycho goes to check on her and she seems to be unconscious. but looks can be deceiving when she suddenly lunges a letter opener into the psycho's eye. Take that, you jackass. Then she strangles the psychopath unconscious long enough to free herself and cuff him to the car. Okay, Angela starts walking away. She was actually going to go get the cops and let them arrest the SOB even after everything he did to her, until the smart psycho suddenly becomes a dumbass and calls Angela something very, 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 very bad. And she turns around and the look on her character's face is just solid. Angela wishes him a Merry Christmas and uses the taser to ignite a pool of gas, which ends up setting that ass on fire, and he dies when the car explodes. The explosion triggers the sprinkler system, which washes most of the blood off poor Angela, though the water must be freezing cold. And Angela finally, after a Christmas Eve night of hell, finally makes it to street level just as firefighters and police arrive, and that's the end of P2. Okay, that was P2. My final thoughts on the film are, well, it's a pretty good film. P2 is an excellent atmospheric psychological horror thriller. Everything about the film is just solid. The location is just creepy. If you've ever been in a parking garage, you know the place gives you the creeps, so it was the perfect place for a horror film setting. The main actors give it their all in their performance. The pacing of the film is solid. There's no point where the film feels boring or anything negative, and the climax was just outstanding. I wish I could show you some of the music score, but I will say it is outstanding and really adds to the film. The only thing that might hold P2 back is the name. While P2 is not a bad name, it just does not seem to deliver the key impact a film like this deserves. In the end, P2 is a solid horror thriller that delivers a solid piece of entertainment, and I encourage you guys to check it out. Please tune in next time as I cover another Christmas horror. I will talk to you guys later. This is the Entertainment Wizard, signing off.